9 a.m. and 10 a.m. Events occur in real time.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. It's FPC Radio Live. It's Friday. It's the end of the week. That's right. Super Bowl Purgatory Week. That's what I like to call it. I started calling it right now. So I'm coining that phrase right now. It's Super Bowl Purgatory Week, especially now that this week we actually don't have the Pro Bowl. Not that anyone actually watched the thing to begin with. I can't tell you the last time. You know what? Actually, I can tell you the last time. The last time I actually watched a Pro Bowl and enjoyed it was when Sean Taylor lit up the punter or the kicker or whoever. I don't even remember who it was. I don't think he remembers who he is. That's how great the hit was. And I think that was the last time there was an actual legitimate Pro Bowl highlight. So, yes, this is Purgatory Week in terms of Super Bowl. There's no football this weekend for the first time in 21 weeks. And guess what? That means next week is the last game of the season. So we're getting excited for that. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Royal Rumble. We're going to talk about Deshaun Watson and whatever nonsense hops into my brain and, of course, my co-host brain, who is twice the size of mine. Yes, I'm in a very complimentary mood today. I'm going to heap praise on him. He is the man himself. He is Mr. Rhode Island. He is Mr. Mike Debate. Mike, what's up, buddy?
La, la, la. Twice the size of the brain. Wow, I'm speechless. I am without speech.
Relative to my brain, it's really not.
Yeah,
well, it's really not that impressive if you consider the size of mine.
That is true.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. Yeah, that's true. But you know what? It's a compliment nonetheless, and I'll take it. Friday, January 29th. I love how you put Super Bowl purgatory. I think it is football purgatory. That's pretty much you're in the waiting period. You know the eye on the prize is just a week away, but it's still a long way away to get there. Thankfully, we've got a little pro wrestling to talk today.
Yes.
And who knows? Maybe we're going to talk greatest Royal Rumbles. Maybe we'll even sprinkle in some talk about some of our greatest Super Bowl memories. Seeing that, the Patriots have been to so many of them. Tom Brady has been to so many of them.
If Tom Brady wasn't living, y'all could be in the Super Bowl.
That's right. That's absolutely right, Steve. You hit the nail right on the head. Seldom wrong and right again is Steve Harvey. Let's kick it off, bud. Let's do it.
Yeah. Hey, look, we joke, but we were just talking right before we got on the air that for me personally, I'm 34 years old, and Tom Brady has been in the Super Bowl all but one of my ages in the 30s. So when I was 30, he was in the Super Bowl. When I was 31, he was in the Super Bowl. When I was 32, he was in the Super Bowl. He wasn't in the Super Bowl last year when I was 33, but this year he is back. And there's a lot of that in my 20s and teens as well, and it kind of speaks to his speaks to the longevity of his career and how successful he has been. But so yeah, we got a little experience, Mike. Just a tad bit of experience of how these 2 weeks go. It's kind of a feel, Monday's got a
absolutely
feel. The Monday before the Super Bowl's got a feel. Tuesday, you don't really got a feel, but Wednesday's got a feel. But no, look, you have to learn to.
Well, I feel Tuesday and Thursday. How's that?
Yeah, right. It took us about 2 minutes to reference Seinfeld today on this Friday, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last time we reference it. But this year obviously is a little bit different because after this weekend, generally, you get to that point where you start to really feel the Super Bowl week, and by that I mean teams start arriving. You have media week, where all the hoopla, all the the team track pants and shirts and all that stuff, all the corny questions, all the part-time sports media comes out of the woodwork. Everyone's there, national story this, national story that. We're not getting any of that this year. And look, everyone understands why. The pandemic, it doesn't really make sense to have a convention hall packed with reporters and players, especially since, hey, guess what? If they test positive, as we learned this morning, from this point on, that means they don't play in the Super Bowl, which we'll see what happens, what the NFL does if, and again, a big if, one of either say Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady end up testing positive. We'll see what they actually do, but they say they are committed to playing this game on time, and so a lot of stuff to talk about, man. Oh, you know what? Actually, let's start right there, because I'm gonna call BS on that. That, you know, and I don't know if you saw the tweet. I believe it was from Ian Rappaport.
Yes.
Saying that the NFL, if any player from this point on were to test positive, they would not, within the time frame the NFL has set and their health board has set, would not be eligible to play in the Super Bowl. And for player 52 on the roster, that's true. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like the impact of missing one player and another aren't different. I mean, there is. But if you're talking about a Super Bowl where you find out that, like I said before, Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady test positive, there is not a chance in hell you play this game. And they shouldn't. They shouldn't. And I understand, this might open up a Pandora's box of precedent. I don't care. I think you get a mulligan this year. If it happens, do what you accommodate whatever you need to make sure the best players are on the field. And guess what? You're going to have to draw a line somewhere. It's not going to be an easy decision. There's a again, I think this primarily applies to the quarterbacks specifically because of how important they are to the game. I think, you can even draw the line right there. If anyone but the quarterbacks test positive, you have to keep this game going. And I can live with that. But like I said, I mean, if one of those two guys are out, there's you can't play this game. And maybe it's not realistic on my part. I don't understand why they can't, say play the game a week later if they have to. I mean, it is what it is. It's just, I understand there's complications when it comes to people who may be traveling from other places to get there. There may be complications when it comes to, you know what? Deal with it. I'd rather have them deal with those complications than have to deal with the Super Bowl where maybe we see Tom Brady versus Chad Henne or Patrick Mahomes versus Blaine Gabbert. You can't play this game if one of those two quarterbacks ends up testing positive, especially since, again, not every positive ultimately turns out to be a positive. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, you
right.
Can't do that.
Absolutely. Without any question. I completely agree with you. Look, there is going to be an equator line that they're going to have to draw in terms of players that are either above the echelon or below the echelon in terms of where they're going to cut off the opportunity to either postpone the game or to play it. Yeah, right, I mean, at this point, if it is, I think any other player, because there are depth charts and depth positions where you can overcome the loss of one wide receiver as opposed to another, one tight end as opposed to another, difficulties of that nature. But if you're going to play this game without Tom Brady, if you're going to play this game without Patrick Mahomes, it just does not hold the same weight. Brady wins this game with Chad Henne on the other side. All of a sudden, I mean, it's never ever going to live up to what the Super Bowl should be. Same thing. If Mahomes wins this game without Brady on the other side, it cheapens that victory as well. Look, I understand the pandemic. I understand that things happen. Players get injured. You can't necessarily postpone everything. This is a different year. It's a different circumstance. And this is something that is... It's important in terms of being able to keep players healthy and keep players safe. And that's the most important thing. But there's also a product on the field that would suffer greatly from having to succumb to something like this, especially when a week could be built in here and there and you would be able to postpone. It's a different type of environment, and I think you're getting at something there. We're talking about an arena that's going to be filled not close to capacity. You're talking about a little bit less travel this year, a lot less media swarm in terms of the coverage that's going to be going on. There are ways to be able to circumvent this if they need to. Hopefully, we're talking pure hypotheticals, folks. Hopefully, this will not be a problem. Yeah. Right now, Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes should be hermetically sealed from now until, but you know what I mean, though. I mean, that's just, it's just exactly what we have to do to keep these guys healthy. Ultimately, my gut reaction is that everything happens according to plan. These two guys are healthy. They go at it, and we're looking forward to a great game in just a little over a week.
Yeah, and look, like I said, this is like worst case scenario. They've managed to get through this entire season without postponing a week, and credit to the NFL for handling this. I don't agree with all their decisions, and I think they're not being as transparent about their motivations. I think they say one thing, and I think there's a sliver of truth of a lot of things in there when it comes to why they're pushing these games through. But like I say, if you have to draw the line, I think the objective line would be at the quarterbacks, because after the quarterbacks, like you kind of said, with the depth, with the variety of different positions and players, it could get a little murky when it comes to, okay, who do you reconsider scheduling this game if they lose a player. So that's why I think they're if you draw the line at the quarterbacks, and again, I know this is very, this isn't going to be the norm any other time. If say in the future a quarterback gets injured leading up to the Super Bowl, this is not going to happen. This is a one-time, one-deal thing. You draw the line at the quarterbacks. And in that case, there's no cries of unfairness from fans or players. They know what the deal is. If one of the quarterbacks tests positive, it doesn't matter, just one or both, it doesn't matter. They're going to postpone this game. And after that, the game keeps playing because, again, there are other players. And then at that point, I do think it becomes a harder situation for the NFL and someone to objectively, find a line. So I think that the only objective thing to do, the only fair
it's
thing
nearly
to do,
impossible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The only fair thing to do, and really, this is the biggest impact. I mean, you lose a wide receiver, it's unfortunate, but you make do. You lose a defensive lineman, it's unfortunate, you make do. Offensive tackle, so on and so forth. You lose a quarterback, and it could be the difference between the Bucs being a Super Bowl team and a 7-9 team. That's what we're talking about here. That's how drastic of a swing we're talking if one person misses this game because of this. So that's why I think you have to draw the line at the quarterbacks. If either of those guys, if the NFL is bound and determined to play this game on time, I'm for it, because they've been doing this all season, and teams have had to deal with situations all season. But you know what? It's the Super Bowl. Make an exception. I don't care if it's not fair to the Patriots from Week 5 because they had to play with Brian Hoyer and Jarrett Stidham. I don't care. I'm a Patriots fan. I don't care. I want the Super Bowl to feature both of these quarterbacks. And like I said, if one or both of them ends up testing positive, then I think it's a no-brainer. You have to move the game back. This game has to be played with both of them, no matter what.
Absolutely. Yeah, without question. And you hit the nail right on the head. You have to stop it. You have to end it with the quarterbacks, because every other position does have the opportunity for you to fill open spots with depth charts. You have practice squad players that can be elevated only for this game, only this season. It's things of that nature that allow you to be able to do this. But with those two quarterbacks, the indelible nature of the way they are, and even if it were lesser quarterbacks, or even if your starting quarterback goes down, the guy that got you to this spot, it's so difficult to go in and have to play the game knowing that it's because of a positive test that can run its course, and then within a minuscule amount of time, you'll be able to go ahead and to do it. I do agree that this would have to be postponed. I don't know if the NFL is going to do it.
And look, I don't care about the Broncos. Like I said, I don't care about the Patriots. I don't care about other fan bases that may say, "Oh, it's not fair. We had to play with a accountant that was working on a Friday and came in on a set." I don't care. I understand that's not fair. Guess what? Life isn't fair. If anyone was following all the drama with the stock market yesterday, you'd understand that life just is not fair. It's not even. It's not balanced across the board, guess what? Deal with it. I mean, it is what it is. It's unfortunate. Obviously, there's bigger repercussions from what I just mentioned for, stock market stuff. But when it comes to football, deal with it. All right? Life isn't fair. It's going to happen. Like I said, the NFL has to make sure that these two players play this game, because not only are they, arguably the best players across the board on both teams, and I can sit there and easily say, yeah, these the two best players on the field, the two quarterbacks, they have the most impact, and you can't cheapen what has been a little bit of a light throughout this, unfortunate year when it comes to the NFL being the NFL and bringing some normalcy to us all. So, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Obviously, I think we're we're talking worst case scenario here, and I think if I go with my gut, I think the NFL is banking on those two players being okay. But I think they probably feel the same way that I do. I can't imagine Roger Goodell would feel great about going into a Super Bowl without one of those two, or if not both of them. So I think they're hoping that bridge doesn't come up, and at the end of the day they'll sit there and say, hey, we were committed to playing this Super Bowl no matter what, and we did it. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
We will. We'll see how it goes. And hopefully, folks, what Ian and I are talking about this morning will end up being just an also-ran discussion, something that's not relevant, something that is not, that come to fruition and everything happens without a hitch. That's what we're hoping for. We're simply talking hypotheticals and what if something like this would happen. And I'm in full agreement with you, bud. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's right. We said we were going to talk some memorable. Love this song. We're going to talk some memorable Royal Rumble moments, and I would imagine Bushwhacker Luke is on top of both of our lists. Maybe not the very top, but certainly one of the more memorable moments of our childhood watching the Royal Rumble. Did that bring you back a little bit, Mike? Did that bring you right back to the quickest and most amazing Rumble appearance of all time?
It did. It absolutely brought me right back to that moment. And if memory serves me correctly, I believe it was 1991. Wasn't that?
Yes,
that was 1991. Miami Arena. Hulk Hogan won that Royal Rumble. I was watching as a young kid on pay-per-view, and yeah, I remember watching that. That was interesting. Went in one side, went right out the other.
and he was
eliminated by the late great John Tenta, aka Earthquake, for those of you that remember the big quake back in the day. So yeah, great stuff. Yeah, Luke was definitely not on his game that day. But
well, no, I would argue that he was, because
he collected a paycheck for that.
Well, he got thrown out, and I don't think he ever stopped moving his arms. He just got right back up and with a smile on his face walked right back down.
No, he didn't. He didn't even break stride. It was I think he was still moving his arms as he was going over the top rope.
No, and that obviously it was comedic, and then that's part of the wrestling thing. We've seen other memorable appearances. I mean, who could forget? I think we mentioned this before, but Drew Carey showing up in the Royal Rumble and throwing money at Kane, which. I mean, come on, that's just funny, and anyone who knows Drew Carey knows that he's by all accounts a really good person, but also funny, of course. And I don't know, I don't know if I'd want to go up against Kane if I were him either. So.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think I'd be right there with Drew, trying to find any way that I could to avoid that beat down. You meet Kane in a dark alley or in a Royal Rumble, you're not going to win that fight, folks.
No, and we mentioned yesterday, we talked about it. We've both appeared. We didn't appear in a Royal Rumble. I wish. Actually, I don't know. I don't want to speak for you, Mike, but maybe you're in a costume that I didn't recognize and wouldn't recognize you. But we both attended a Royal Rumble. Mike was it was 1990. Sorry, you're gonna have to help me here, Mike. I forgot what year it was.
1994, January 22nd.
Right. Okay, right. January 2nd, 1994, and I was January 19th, 2003. So about 9 years apart. What outside of those? Obviously, you're going to have a little bias towards the ones that you attended. What other Rumble to you sticks out as one of your favorites? Because we both mentioned this yesterday. We this is a fun pay-per-view. It's always, no matter what the card prior to it is, what the individual or tag team matches are, the Rumble match is always an exciting, there's just so much involved with it. What was either your favorite match or your favorite, let's say, surprise appearance?
Oh, all right. Well, favorite Rumble all time. I think I tipped my hand on this yesterday. I would probably say the 1992 Royal Rumble, Albany, New York, Knickerbocker Arena, Ric Flair winning the World Heavyweight Championship. It's the first Rumble that ever put the title on the line for the Rumble. So there were a lot of great moments in that. Sid Vicious eliminating Hogan. And I loved how they tried to cover just how crazy the arena went when Hogan got eliminated. Everybody was so glad to see that. And today, I think Vince McMahon would have looked at that and went, "Oh, damn, I think we're onto something here. Damn it, that's it. We're turning Hogan heel." That's what he would have done. This time, I don't think he would have. That back in the day, it was blasphemous to think that you would turn the red and yellow against the fans, but fans were really excited to see that. But watching Flair, and again, if you watch this on TV, the Bobby Heenan commentary alone is worth that. Definitely go and check it out. It's great. It really is. It's Heenan at his absolute best. But in terms of maybe matchups it's tough to say, because the Rumble always, I think, eclipses what the main event can bring. I know there's always title matches and things like that take place at the Rumble. I remember the Shawn Michaels Undertaker casket match, for example. I think those those come to mind with some of the gimmicks and some of the things that are put off. But those to me were some of the great moments. I can't remember, the years escaping me right now, but I do remember the return at the Rumble of someone that we honor often on here on FPC Radio Live. We play his music quite often. The return of Mr. Perfect, the great Kurt Hennig.
Yes.
Probably one of my favorite surprise entrants. I was so happy to see that. One of my all-time favorite wrestlers of all time.
I haven't.
One of the best. One of the best in-ring performers I've ever seen. Yep.
No,
it's been a long time since either one of us were perfect at anything in a while. So
well, I was gonna say my peak was a little while ago. I was not good after that 12-0 weekend. Let's just put it that way. Actually, no, I kind of rebounded a little bit, but my favorite. Actually, I don't know if it was. Again, this might involve having to go back and watch a lot of Royal Rumbles of the past, and obviously not having enough time to do that prior to the show, of course, but I think my most memorable Royal Rumble, and this kind of leads up to, leading into what I think is the best WrestleMania of all time. And this, again, disclosure, my watching habits have tailed off over the last 10 or 15 years, so I may be missing a lot of the more recent stuff. But from my watching period, I think what the best WrestleMania was WrestleMania 17, 2001. For many reasons, I think, obviously headlined by The Rock versus Stone Cold, one of the best individual headline matches of all time. But preceding that was the 2000 Royal Rumble, and talk about a Royal Rumble that had a lot of stars. I mean, The Rock, Stone Cold, Kane, Rikishi. I mean, don't forget Rikishi was a big star. I mean, that was
he was.
This was right after Armageddon, obviously from December of 2000. And this was the Hell in a Cell matchup. So this was kind of a continuation of that, leading up to, that build up for WrestleMania, which was always kind of begins with the Royal Rumble because of the stipulations or the implications of winning it, or at least what it was in the past. I'm sure the same rules apply now, but I'm sure they're modified. But that was certainly one of my favorite viewing of the Royal Rumble, outside of appearing. I think it was better than the one I attended. I can sit there and say, oh yeah, no, that 2001 Royal Rumble was so much better than the one I went to, even though I enjoyed the one I went to. This one was just better. So
yeah, I believe, from start to finish, I would say that was the best. I will agree with you on that. And I think logistically, that was the best. I think there's something to be said about watching pay-per-views as a kid, as opposed to even watching it as a teenager or even a young adult or even into adulthood. There's something about the way wrestling, especially at that era, meant so much to you. It was like the biggest thing in your life back then, and I mean, that was, I used to look forward to the Rumbles, and there were only 4 major pay-per-views when I was a kid. So you really looked forward to those events. And just seeing Flair, because I was always a Flair guy. I always liked him, even in Jim Crockett Promotions and the old NWA and WCW. I had always kept an eye on Ric Flair. And I remember when he was going to come into WWF and Bobby Heenan holding the belt, and I just remember that whole build-up. It was great, and none of my friends or even my family members could understand why I was rooting for the bad guy, but always a Flair guy back then, and I was probably the only person that I was watching the Rumble with amongst my cousins and my good friends and my dad and everybody and my uncle. I was the only one that was cheering when Flair won. So it was just that moment was great. But they have, the WWF has done a great job. WWE, excuse me, has done a great job of giving an opportunity of people to be built up at this event and really kind of building new stars. We've seen it with guys like Batista and Roman Reigns winning, and even Sheamus, Alberto Del Rio. They tried to bring these guys up to main event status by giving them the victory in the Royal Rumble, and I think they've done a pretty good job. Anybody worth his salt, you talk about some of the greatest competitors in WWE history. I think all of them, every single one of them that you could list as arguably the best competitor of all time, has won a Royal Rumble, maybe with the exception of guys like Andre and Savage. I don't think they won. I don't think the Warrior ever won one. But, you look at the modern day, the heroes of WWE, every one of them has at least one Royal Rumble victory under their belt. So winning it is a big deal for the storylines and how they put these things together. If you're chosen to win the Royal Rumble, it means that WWE has big plans for you.
Yeah, and like you said, you don't have to win the Royal Rumble to be great. As you said, I mean, you mentioned 2 of the greatest of all time who had never won, but now that, we're into, I mean, it's got to be the 30-somethingth, edition of the Royal Rumble. I mean, there's some history to it now. There's a long history to it, and there's a lot of wrestlers' careers who, some are defined by their appearance in the Rumble, or in the case of say Shawn Michaels start to finish, or Ric Flair start to finish. That's a huge headline underneath his career biography. You know what I mean? So there's a lot to take into that. Obviously, we all remember Vince McMahon, and there's that added element to the matchup, that there is some goofiness to it. Maybe not goofiness, right, but there's unpredictability, where it can mean the biggest thing in the world for a wrestler's career, and it could elevate them to main event status, or it could just be used as a tool to get to point A to point B, as was the case with Vince McMahon winning that whole thing, and it's less about elevating someone's career. So there's always that surprise element to it. Speaking of appearances, obviously one of the more memorable appearances, in my opinion, was the 3-time appearance of Mick Foley as Cactus Jack, Dude Love, and then, of course, Mankind. That was fun. And credit to him, because, I mean, look, hey, you come out, you have to go do wardrobe changes. It's like he's doing a halftime show at Super Bowl.
Exactly. Yeah, he goes in, does his little, his little costume change, and then he comes out. But, Foley is such a true professional. I mean, say what you will about him. I mean, He looks disheveled. He's got a quirky personality and all that. But that guy gave you 110% every single time he went out there. And for him to do that, really, I think it shows just how great of a showman he was. And I was privileged to be able to see him perform a few times, and he'll give you everything he's got. He really does. Yeah. I was there the night he won the title in Worcester. I know I've told this story, and I'm not going to tell it again to bore anybody, but that was a great night, and Foley, that was his night. He stayed long after the cameras had gone off, and long after everything had settled in Worcester and Raw had gone off the air. Foley remained in that arena and really absorbed that moment, and the fans gave it to him. They didn't treat it like it was something like, oh well, I'm going to head to the exit now, the cameras are over. Everybody stayed. Everybody gave him that moment, and I thought that was really a good honor to Mick Foley, and he's given some great Royal Rumble moments.
I'm going to ask you something.
Okay.
Maybe you might know this. I'm putting you on the spot here. Couple questions. There's been several wrestlers who have won the Rumble twice. How many of those can you name? And bonus question, who has won the most?
Oh, okay. That's good. That's
I wish I had some Jeopardy music.
Well, I know
right
Hogan
now.
won it twice.
Hogan's.
I know Hogan won it twice. I know he won it twice. I can definitely do that. I know Michaels won it twice. He won back to back. He was the first one to win back to back. I remember that.
Right. Okay.
Austin won a couple.
That's correct.
So we got. So we're. I got three.
I'll tell you. Okay, there's 7 total that have won at least 2.
Wow. Well, that's a higher number than I thought.
So you got what? You had 3 of them, right? You mentioned 3.
I got 3. Yeah. That's so. There's 7 that have won at least 2. Okay.
And I'll say I will give you a hint.
For some reason.
Oh, go ahead.
For some reason, I want to put Triple H on that list. I think he won a couple.
You are correct.
I am correct. All right. So I'm doing pretty good.
2002 and 2016. So more recently, he won.
Oh wow. Yep. Yeah.
You got 3 more. 3 more. Can you name them? You don't get a prize, but
I'm trying to go through in my head. I think Austin won the most. You said who won the most?
Correct.
I think it was Austin that won the most.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. You got the bonus. You got the Powerball number. All right. You need the other 2 now, and you can walk away with $1 billion.
The other 2 that I can't. Was Cena one of them? Did Cena win a couple?
Yes.
Did he win 2?
I'm sorry. Yes, he won 2, so you have 2 more. I apologize because you already said Austin. I counted that as a new one, but if you would see my camera right now, if you would see my screen, there's a hint on my desk right now. You would have to make a couple little connections. There's about 2 degrees of separation here, but there is a hint there as to one of the people that participated. And if you're watching on a Sportscaster or Twitter or whatever, you might catch on. But there's 2 other more recent wrestlers that have also done it.
Let's see. Was Edge one of them?
No, he was not.
I know he won 1. I remember
the
first one that he won.
He did win 1, yes, but he did not win 2.
All right. Well, there we go. There's my first strike. Damn. I wanted the perfect record.
Yeah, almost. I was getting ready to play it. I was getting ready to play it. So, I would say this. I'm trying to think. It
wasn't Vince. I know that. Vince only won the 1.
Thankfully,
Yoko only had 1. Yeah. I'm trying. Oh man.
They're more current, recent wrestlers. I'm not going to say current, but recent, like within the last 15, 20 years. So
all right. So we got Cena in there. We know that. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Was it Orton? Was it Randy Orton? Did he win a couple of them?
Is one of them. That's right.
That's one of them.
That's one of them. He won 2. He won in 2009 and 2017.
I got 1 more to go.
One more.
Let's see.
And that's the hint about what's on my desk. That's the one wrestler.
That's what's on your desk. All right. I can't see what's on your desk, so I'm
that's
gonna.
The point. Hopefully those out there watching. Hopefully those out there watching will know. I bet you Joel knows. Joel knows. I actually haven't checked Twitter. Let me check Twitter. Oh, well, no. Claire's guessing. She got Triple H right, but you give up? You give up?
No, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up just yet.
I'll tell this wrestler also has turned into an actor. He's done some acting.
Oh, jeez, what the?
Yes.
The Rock? The Rock won?
No.
He won.
No, not The Rock.
Yeah, I was going to say that was I remember, I remember The Rock's win. I remember him winning in 2000. He won that Royal Rumble, and then I don't remember him winning after that. This guy used to turn into
Deacon
Batista.
Yeah, there you go.
Batista.
I was gonna say
damn it,
that might be a dead giveaway, but I was gonna say Deacon once.
Oh, that is. Yeah, when
preceded
you
his
said
name.
Deacon, yeah.
Yeah, because that was his original.
When you said Deacon, that was it. Yeah.
Anyways, no,
that's right. I keep forgetting that he won a couple of them. You're absolutely right.
I have on my desk right now. I have a plastic caricature or toy of Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy. Obviously, he was in that, and so that was 2 degrees. Of
if I had seen that,
if
I had seen that, and you said 2 degrees, that might have brought it home. But,
I mean, it was I was trying to give you some vague hints, and I was like, well, that might have been too vague, especially since you can't see what I'm trying to hint at. But yeah, so I mean, there's been a handful, but you're right. Stone Cold won it 3 times. He was the only one to do so he won it the most. Well done, though. Well done. I'm not,
That I knew. I knew that. Yeah, I know my Rumble history. I'm pretty good, but I was a little disappointed in myself that I didn't get Dave Bautista. But no, all kidding aside, I think it's
hey, look,
it's good.
I had to look it up. I knew some of the names, but I had forgotten about Orton because I hadn't seen his more recent one. I had seen the 2009
I'll be honest with you, Orton was a guess. That was a guess on my part. I was.
Well, it's a good guess. It's a good guess
at that point.
It's a good.
Yeah.
When
you said modern, and I'm thinking of like superstars that had gotten to that level. That's why I had guessed Edge, and I said no. Well, if Edge didn't do it, maybe it was Orton that did it, and that was kind of process of elimination. So, if I'm being honest, that was a guess. But the rest of them, I pretty much knew, or at least I thought I had a good handle on. So,
well, like even when I wasn't watching, and I still don't watch every week. I try to like watch, when I can or when I want to or whatnot. I always try to watch like the main page, like the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania every year. So like there, even though I haven't watched like I was watching 15 years ago, I still remember some of the more recent ones. And but I had even forgotten about some of them because I had to look it up. I didn't know all that. I mean, you did a little bit better than I did there, Mike. It's okay. So good job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, I tried. So I guess, I mean, honestly, I couldn't tell you what the hell's going on. I would highly recommend checking out fullpresswrestling.com for that. They got that covered over for the Royal Rumble and all that. So keep an eye out over there, and obviously FPC_wrestling for all that. And our good buddy Evan Gomes, who does a great job covering that. They're going to have that all in lockdown. Listen to Talkamania, Boot to the Face, all that fun stuff. You can go over there and check out all those podcasts if you're wrestling fans, because they know far more about obviously what's going on right now than we do. I mean, we start talking about wrestling, all of a sudden it's between the years of 1992 and 2004. So, you're going to have to kind of
every once in a while
Every
once in a while I'll sprinkle in a little late 80s, a little or very early 90s, but that's pretty much Ian in my wheelhouse. And if you want that covered, we can talk that stuff all day long and twice on Sunday.
Absolutely.
But those guys, the Full Press Wrestling guys, do an amazing job. Evan and all those guys with the podcast, Boots to the Face you mentioned, definitely check those out. They're fun listens. Every once in a while they'll go old school and they'll put out pods on some of the guys that I grew up watching.
Yes.
And, it really does. They do an amazing
job
job at capturing it. Yeah, definitely.
And also tonight, I believe I'm correct on this, Trivia Mania 10. Check it out. If you guys like wrestling trivia, that's always a fun thing. So check that out. Go to Talkamania at Talkamania or at Talkamania on Twitter. I'm fumbling over my words right now. I'm clearly running out of caffeine, Mike. I shot out of a cannon when we first started the show today, and then it's kind of worn down since. But so, like I said, this is Purgatory Week, Super Bowl. But that does not mean we don't have football to talk about. And I did want to. We briefly touched on this yesterday. And we kind of got the word sort of at the tail end of the show yesterday that Deshaun Watson has officially requested a trade out of Houston. Now, this was reportedly not. This was done before this, and not, I guess, not released by Watson himself. So this was the team, giving this information out, which kind of, leads you to believe that, it's probably more likely he's going to be traded. So,
yeah,
where's the best spot for him? But, get your GM hat out, Mike. Put it on right now. Tell me, where is the best landing spot? Because remember, Deshaun Watson has a no-trade clause, so he essentially dictates where he wants to go. This isn't going to be, we're just going to trade you to, almost said Oakland, Las Vegas, or whatever, and you're going to have to deal with it. No, he's going to have a say in where he goes. So,
where's the best spot for him to go?
Where?
The land of clam chowder, my friend.
Well,
come on
of
up
course.
to Foxborough. He's going to come up here. He's going to play for
all right.
Belichick. The dynasty continues. No, I'm only kidding.
Let me
very slim chance that happens.
Let's just say not necessarily the best landing spot, but where you think he will ultimately end up. You could even say Houston. You can say Houston if you want. That might be an option, but I'm going to assume you're probably not going to. So where do you think he's going to end up?
Where do I think he's going to end up? I think San Francisco makes an awful lot of sense. I think that's a possibility. As much as I love me some Jimmy Garoppolo, I mean, you have an opportunity to bring in Deshaun Watson. He's a better quarterback. He's a better quarterback. He's more durable.
They've been linked to Matt Stafford quite a bit.
They have been. They've been linked to Stafford, and Stafford makes a lot of logistical sense there as well because of the style in which he plays, the way Kyle Shanahan coaches, the types of weapons that he has on him. And again, yes, he will. The price that they'll have to pay for him is probably a lot less than what they would have to pay for a guy like Deshaun Watson. So Watson, I think, logistically would work well in a place like Miami. I know they've got Tua. I know there are some fans that are really dedicated to him. Not as many as I thought would be. The Miami fan base seems ready to ship Tua out and send him to Houston to bring in Deshaun Watson. And it's hard to argue.
So
it's hard to argue. They didn't make it's hard to argue with that. I mean, bringing in someone that's a surefire, success story. He can play in the NFL. Done it at a high level for a few years now. Tua coming in just off of his rookie season, still a lot to prove there. So that would make a lot of sense. I'm glad you brought this up, and I know we're probably up against it, but I have a question for you, my friend.
Oh,
we hear the Jets. We hear the Jets an awful lot when it comes to Deshaun Watson. I got a direct message yesterday from one of the listeners of Locked On Patriots who said, do you believe that maybe the Jets are being sprinkled in there because they have both assets that are absolutely at the top of the list in terms of what they can offer to land Deshaun Watson, meaning the number 2 pick in the NFL draft, tons of cap space, a lot of draft capital to be able to work with. Do you think, and Sam Darnold, absolutely. Do you think that they're being used as maybe a bargaining chip? Maybe Deshaun's agents are telling him to leak out that the Jets are on my preferred list, kind of scare teams into offering a little bit more, because the Jets have never really been a sought-after destination. And I'm not saying that they won't be this year. Robert Saleh may change that. He's a coach that I think a lot of people want to play for. But do you think the Jets' interest is more smoke and mirrors from the agents here? Or do you think Deshaun Watson really believes he can go into the Meadowlands, turn that team around, and make them a contender, especially when you have Miami, Buffalo, and say what you will, Bill Belichick with New England to contend with for the next few years?
Well, I think the Jets' interest is legitimate. Sure, why not? Of course they should be interested.
Their interest is interest is definitely legitimate. No question about it. I'm talking on Watson's side.
Yeah, no, I mean, it could be a play. I mean, and that's the thing, too. It's like, when you're talking about Deshaun Watson and he's trying to get out of a terribly run franchise from the top down, this is a lateral move. I mean, let's face it. Like, you're not improving your situation. You're going from Cal McNair to Woody Johnson.
Well said.
Like, I mean, we're not talking about an upgrade. So to me, I that's why it doesn't make sense as to why Deshaun Watson would want to go to New York, unless I mean. Because here's the thing, it's not like his choices are limited. I mean, he could essentially pick from about 20 some odd franchises as to where he would like to go. That's how many opportunities would be available to him. So for him to pick the East Coast equivalent of the Houston Texans would be silly. Now, again, this isn't a knock on their new coach. I mean, but it's the Jets, and it's still Woody Johnson. So to me, I don't think it makes a lot of sense. So I kind of buy into that whole. He's just using this as a more of a negotiating tactic because at the end of the day, I just don't see why he would make all this fuss. And I'm not saying it's not legitimate. I think he has all the right in the world to be upset about the situation and want out. I just don't see why he would go through all this just to get his way to the Jets. That just does not make sense to me. Not one bit.
No, and it doesn't make any sense to me either. And we've seen this in baseball a lot of times. Yeah. You'll hear the Yankees thrown into the mix for a guy that they may be interested in or they may not be interested in. For lack of a better term, Bud, for, maybe not now, but I mean, prior to this, a few years earlier, it was the Red Sox that were thrown into these deals a lot. Teams with a lot of money, teams with the availability to drive up the price for a free agent. Why wouldn't we think that the same, thing could be done in football? It happens all the time, and especially with a high-profile trade like Deshaun Watson, probably the most anticipated trade, I think, that we're seeing in the NFL in quite some time. This is a franchise-level quarterback, so thank you for indulging me in answering that question because I thought it was a good one and thought it might be a good way to end this show today and ride us off into the weekend sunset.
Look, I agree, and I'm glad you asked, and I'll end it on this. Miami's far more desirable. So if I was Deshaun Watson, maybe this is a ploy to get more out of Miami, who, hey, they got a lot of those great options as well. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in to our nonsense and listening to us yammer on about Royal Rumbles and quarterbacks and COVID-19 and all that fun stuff. Remember, check out Trivia Mania 10 tonight. And, of course, if you're a wrestling fan, Royal Rumble. It helps this Super Bowl purgatory. It helps connect the two weekends so you have an actual event to get excited for and watch if you're a wrestling fan. And I will be doing that. I'll be watching it because, hey, guess what? I still pay for WWE Network, apparently. So if you want, give us a follow on Twitter. Actually, I encourage you to give us a follow on Twitter because we like interacting with our fans. But give us a follow on Twitter at FPC Radio Live, at Full Press Radio. I am at IGLEN31. Mike is at MDABATEFPC. Folks, download the app. Check out the websites, Full Press Coverage, Full Press Hockey, and FullPressWrestling.com. And, of course, have a great, safe, and healthy weekend. We'll talk to you on